Okay, I am streaming, and what about now? What about now? Let's just get into it. This is the most awkward start to a video there ever was. Let's talk about what you see on the screen right now, which is form, flow, and urge. Now, let me talk you through. This is an attempt at describing what I've been working on and my train of thought the whole way through. I've To get really to the point, I've been trying to figure out who I am, what parts of me are there, um, observing all sorts. And I've started using um, coherent and cohesive terminologies and creating some kind of lexicon. And so now I'm going to walk you through what are these prime concepts. So I think everything falls under these core concepts, and furthermore, as I go through core aspects, because they start relating to be more human rather than abstract concepts. So these are the three prime concepts, and all the color labeling is intentional. So here we have form, and we have flow, and we have urge. And form is anything that we identify and isolate. We make it separate. It's material, it's matter, it's identity, it's identification, it's isolating and separating. It's making a unit out of everything that is. And so there we can later see that our selves and entity and identity form come from form. And then over into flow. Flow is it is what is. It's the more abstract, it's the more creative, it's the being in a state where it's in the human experience. I'll go into more, is more of the spiritual, more of the less thought, more feel, more intuition, more guided, more high energy state experiences. And f- flow is separate from form because, well, I don't really know how, because I don't really know any of this for sure. This is just an explanation, an attempt at an explanation. But I feel like with flow, I'm more of a tourist because my default, my personal Mark Shikada, this avatar, this persona, um, my experiences are locked more in the realm of form rather than flow. But because of my experiences with experimenting with weed and uh, observing different states that I'm in when I'm in higher states, higher frequency states, they all fit under flow. And so now we have modern terminologies like flow state and stuff like that, and being in the zone. And these I've taken on board to build in under flow. And urge is another concept that I'm less familiar with on a personal level. Uh, and I'll get into so much other things, but right now it is to be discovered. Like everything is to be discovered, but urge is a term to try and understand a quality, a prime will, an urge, and part of consciousness that has a strong intention without building anything else on top. It's the urge, it's the will, it's the impulse, it's the desire, um, at its base root. So here we can associate red to that. Now, quickly moving on. Then, so those were the prime concepts, and now these are the core concepts. So, using the flower of life, in case you haven't noticed, is the pattern, the symbology that I've referenced going through this. I've overlaid my lexicon over the flower of life. So it nicely separates out different bubbles, different spheres of to represent these concepts. And then within these circles or spheres, I can't visualize in 3D very well. So this is the best I can do for now. It's helping me wrap my noggin around these concepts. So now, life, love, and time. So between form and flow, you've got life. Now, I, I'm making this up by myself using my references, my life experience and references and observations. And I don't know what comes first, what comes second, what is an absolute. I don't think there is any absolute. I think we're just muddling our way through this. So with life and urge, time, love, flow, form, all of these come together in a particular formation to symbolize how we can spend our time within these realms um, more predominantly or in a more balanced fashion. And I think that affects our states of being itself. If we start to recognize these different core concepts and then delve into what they actually represent within our lives, within our understanding, within our language, within our forms of communication, then we can start to really make a bigger picture here, a more cohesive image. So we have the representations here in the core elements of the 6 core concepts. So life, nature, flow, energy, love, source, urge, power, time, utility, form, entity. And those make more sense. And then here we start to have the, uh, like, I guess, attributing things when it comes to the human experience rather than abstract concepts. And so now it starts to reference mind, body, and soul, which we've heard throughout the ages. And body associated with nature, life, soul with love and source, and mind. Time is a concept of the mind, but it's an abstract concept that remains nonetheless because we don't know where anything is. We don't even know what our minds really are, our brains. Our brain is an organ, but the mind, it's like still something that we need to figure out as a part of consciousness. And what is consciousness? What is self? What is anything? So here, mind, reason, time. And here, yeah, you start to put together willpower. Okay, I've heard that before, represented in red. It's a passion, it's an urge. Um, Mind, reason, of time, because we usually project into the future and observe from the past, and we extrapolate lots of information from those two realms, which only ever exist within our minds, because it doesn't really happen. Like life just is. It's everything is in the moment, and our subjective experience is very much tied in inside the mind and inside the self, more so than any other uh, concept or aspect. But that's from my own personal point of view. because I'm looking forward to feeling what it's like to be more in a state of love or flow, more so, or even life itself, being in a state of your body without the confines, the constructs of maintaining your ego, maintaining your sense of self, or having to be in a different state to whatever. Isn't this exciting? Right, so now we get into image, bond, free, long, way, view. They start to get a little bit more abstract now. Um, we'll get into it, but if I zoom out here and have you just focus on these a little bit, how about mm, I just go round and talk a little bit about each of these circles. So within the concept of life, the aspect of the body, we have the title of being, and under being we have health, food, and sense. Now, what I will say is I've also created this, which helps me keep on track of how the words relate to each other within a certain category of the lexicon. So you can see here that I'm actually starting to build, and I've got several different things going on at once, and everything is a work in progress, work in process. I have been constantly moving things around, using different words, seeing how things fit better. And it's gotten to the stage now where, just like a design process, it's never final or complete. It's always under redesign and reconstruction because that's how we are. Nothing is ever perfect. We are striving for that. So, one of the things that's going to happen is it's always going to be changing. And the things that stick around longer as is, they're the ones that have been more established in my understanding. And I haven't gone back to readdress or replace any kind of particular words. So here you can see that I'm using each row to try and, as accurately as I can, also taking in where words belong anywhere else. Like, for example, here, the highlighted yellow, I've put in what's it called? Um, a conditional formatting to highlight when I repeat words exactly within each cell. So here I've used will as a persona name, and you know, here we've got ego and joy and grace and even God, chaos, will. These are all names that I've kind of, I thought were more appropriate, but things will change later on. But yeah, going back to this, I don't think I need to talk much more. This was long and painful enough and scary enough for me to make, but it's an introduction. It's a start. I think there's a lot to unpack here because this is an accumulation of a lot of work, and it's hard to know how to go back and pick things apart one by one and talk through things. But hopefully, it's pretty self-explanatory at a glance. I want to use this kind of stuff as a visual basis to go forward and use the same kind of wording to relate to the same kind of meaning as you see on the screen here. And hopefully it will start to become a collaborative process where I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I get people to come in and start filling this out a bit more. And my intention is not to create a whole new lexicon or language. I don't know what I'm doing here, but this is a way of me organizing my mind a bit more and my language and ways to communicate in a more effective way that can be universally understood at a glance using visuals, using design. using my creativity, um, inspired by many things, and excited at this stage, and less scared, still scared, but less scared, more like excited to start talking about these things because I've been banging on about it for ages to myself, making all these voice notes, these journal notes, and vlogs and stuff, and beating around the bush all along. And I want to finally start getting into this and having really good conversations. Hopefully, this streaming video was recorded well. I've been doing some tests, and hopefully the quality is good. But everything will be improved over time. Thanks for listening. I will end this stream.